Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, awesome. Welcome everyone to today's Product People live stream. Before we start, just an FYI. So we are sharing live streaming in various platforms such as YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitch, and also on Zoom, of course. And everyone who is participating from Zoom, please be aware that we are recording this. So please turn off your camera if you don't want to be seen, because after this live stream, we will share it on YouTube for everyone to watch afterwards. Without any ado, let's move to the next slide, which introduces us to the topic, which I'm very, very excited about because I'm personally very interested in this topic. It's Web3 and how does it relate to product management? Do we have to learn something new? Is it totally different? All these kind of things we will learn today with Stéphan, who is very experienced product leader and product coach, and also has worked on Web3 products before. But before we start talking about Web3 and product management, just a few words about myself. So my name is Dennis. I'm an experienced product manager as well. I'm working at Product People, and my experience ranges from B2C products to B2B products in various industries. I'm not going into much detail. You can see it on the slide. Please reach out to me if you want to just connect, talk about product management or Web3. And who we are, for the ones that don't know Product People. So Product People, we are building and discovering great products together with our clients. How do we do it? So we are acting as interim product managers or product leaders. So we join when you need product management the most. And as said, we are on an interim basis, solving your problems. We have more than or around 40 in-house product managers and product leaders in total. And we also share a lot of knowledge with our community. Our community is as big as 25,000 product management people in our communities. And we are sharing it with the live stream that you are part of right now. But also we have a newsletter we are sharing on LinkedIn. So yeah. And now we are moving into the first icebreaker question. So we have two actually. The first question is, what is your proficiency in product management? A, never heard of that. B, I'm somewhat of a beginner. C, I'm quite experienced. And D, I could call myself an expert. And the second question with the same answers, but the second question is, what is your proficiency in Web3? If you're using Zoom, you will have a pop-up message right now. You can choose the answer. If you are looking into this from a different platform, please let us know in the comments below what your proficiency in product management is and what is your proficiency in Web3. I will give you all a few seconds to answer. All right. So based on the outcome in Web3, so what's your proficiency in product management? So 67% says they are quite experienced and 33% says they could call themselves product management expert. And when it comes to Web3, it's more diverse. So we have 33% of people said they never heard of that before. So it's a completely new term for them. 33% also says I'm somewhat of a beginner. And also additionally, 33% says I'm quite experienced, but there's none that said they are a product Web3 expert, which is interesting. But we have one actually, which is Stéphan. So that's a good thing. And now we can move actually to Stéphan. And as I said, he's an experienced product leader, product coach, and startup advisor. He has plenty of experience from Rocket Internet to Delivery Hero. Yeah, I'm just handing the microphone to him, and let's get the party started.
Definitely. Thank you very much, Dennis, for this introduction. Really appreciate the intro. Hopefully you can see now my screen. So welcome everyone. I heard that a lot of you are from Germany, and today is a bank holiday. So honestly, kudos to you. I would have been, let's say, chilling in some park with some beers at the moment. So you're here means that you're very serious about product management or Web3 or both, or at least very curious. And hopefully we'll spend a nice hour all together discussing about all of this. So the title of this presentation is Web3 for Project Managers. The next frontier. So it will be all about, let's say, what is a combination of Web3. So first, what is it? What is project management, and what is the combination of the two? And why could it be seen as the next frontier for project management? Of course, I'm very happy to be here. Thank you very much, product people, for giving me the opportunity to speak about something that I like, if not love, which is project management. So you can see at the right bottom that there is also a logo called Product Move. So Product Move is a collective of senior product freelancers. So basically, what we're doing is like we are former in-house project managers who have, let's say, combining their shared knowledge and experience in order to empower product teams, basically. So through coaching and training. So don't hesitate to hit our LinkedIn page or directly me. So talking about me, I'm a freelance lead product manager, PM trainer, product coach. I've done part of my studies in UC Berkeley, work in Berlin too, for Work Internet, for instance, Jumia, Trivago, Delivery Hero, for Foodora, and also done consulting for big companies, startups, scale-ups, and I'm also a coach for now 4 years, 3 to 4 years, and also a PM trainer. I've trained like more than 300 product managers about what is the, let's say, the best practices in product management. So if you have one thing to, let's say, keep in mind, just like I coach and train PMs to help them build better products. That's it. So what is my product mantra? And this is important for what will follow. My product mantra is welcome the problem. Let's keep that in mind. So what's in today's meal? So we'll briefly discuss about product management because apparently you're quite experienced. So there's no newbies around. So don't spend a lot of time on this specific topic. Then we'll talk a bit more about Web3 and then the combination of both, basically. So quick recap. So we start on common ground. What is product management? So basically, the art of solving problems that are worth solving. Okay, cool. What does it mean? Basically, giving collective or sharing, building collective value thanks to the help of other people, which is say multidisciplinary teams, like we're talking about, of course, developers, but also designers, QA engineers, etc., etc. So we have, let's say, this important thing to keep in mind. We're here to bring value collectively to the end users and also to the organization we belong to. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with this holy trinity. So they said that the PM zone is between UX, tech, and business. It's a bit more complex than that, but we'll see that later. What we have to keep in mind also is that we have to build a broad product skill set. So of course the tech, to the ability to discuss with our developers, marketing, how can we sell our product, go to market, strategy, okay, how do we build the sustainability of our product once we achieve product market fit, for instance? What about the organization and the processes? How do we build scalable teams, impactful teams? Data, how can we collect information from the end users, from the market, etc., etc. Growth, can we grow, design, blah, blah, blah. And all the soft skills, which in fact represent 70% of our job, the ability to influence without, in a, let's say, not authoritative manner. Okay, I don't spend a lot of time on this because, as you know, you're already familiar with this. So we have to create value for end users and company, and we need to hone various skills, work with different experts, and ship value regularly. Let's keep that as a takeaway. And then we can move to Web3. Why, how, what? Okay. How does it usually go? So when you're a newbie, the first thing that you want to do is like, what is NFT or how to make money? And we skip a lot of steps in the process. So usually we skip the internet phase, the Web1 open protocols. Web2 and also all the big tech, the platformization of the internet, basically. What is Bitcoin? What are the open blockchains? What is exchange? And on top of that, what is NFT, which means non-fungible token. So what is a token? So let's start with the beginning. So first of all, what is a protocol? So as you know, or may know, may not know, so a protocol is basically a set of rules, system of rules that allows two or more entities, communication system, to transmit information via any kind of variation of a physical quantity. Okay, so basically we can implement protocols via hardware, via software, or combination of those. So what you have to keep in mind is like it defines the rules, the syntax, and the semantics for the communication. That's it. Like sets of rules that allow data to be shared between computers. So that's a protocol. Here comes the Web 1. So basically, during the first era of the internet, so a lot of people say from the 80s to the early 2000s, internet services were built on open protocols. That's why it was important to remember what is a protocol. So on open protocols that were decentralized and controlled by the internet community. What this meant that the organization or the people could grow their internet presence knowing the rules of the game will never change or won't change later on. So a lot of properties from back in the days were started during this era, including, of course, Yahoo, Google, Amazon, and YouTube, even YouTube. And so most of the value at that time accrued to the edges of the network, users and builders, and that's important. So that's what we call the information economy, and mainly the main value out of internet was about reading information. So who did that? Thanks to Tim Berners-Lee, who has introduced a new standard, who allowed basically the creation of web pages, which were finally much more visually attractive, thanks to just a few snippets of codes. And all of a sudden, the browsing on internet was through links and using interfaces and no more, let's say, command lines. So all of a sudden, things get easy. And as I mentioned before, a lot of companies were here from the Web 1 in order to provide this information or be gatekeepers to this information. So you can see a lot of defunct companies in the logos. So great. People from all over the world could access information at low cost nearly instantly through open protocols and benefit from those services. That's great. Then Web 2 appears. So Web 2, roughly 2005, 2020s, it's about the ability to read and also share information. Internet becomes much more mature. The applications can, let's say, all of a sudden be used to read and write. So this has truly revolutionized the way we are, let's say, doing our social interactions and also the economy. So we were all of a sudden able to be closer to the producers, basically. But there was a problem. There was a big issue with that. It's because we had a middleman. So as a platform that was useful for us in order to get people transact with people that they didn't know. So most of the value at this moment accrued to a lot of handful companies like Google, Apple, Amazon, Facebook. So this is really the platform economy that we can see right now. What happened also is like the combination of this platform economy and the growth of smartphones has tremendously accelerated this trend as mobile apps basically became the majority of internet use. So eventually users migrated from open services to these more sophisticated centralized services. So even when users still access open protocols like the web, they would typically do so mediated by some companies in the GAFA, like the GAFA. providing softwares and services. So very, very interesting. The good news is like billions of people had access to and still have access to amazing technologies for free. The bad news is that it became much more harder for startup creators and other groups to grow their internet presence without worrying about those centralized platforms that were basically becoming the gatekeepers of internet. So this in turn stifled innovation, making internet less interesting, less dynamic, less crazy as in Web 1. Why? Basically because centralized platforms follow a predictable life cycle. It's always the same thing. First of all, you can see on the left part of this slide, in order to attract people, they do all they can to improve their relation to the end users. So they recruit users, they work with third-party complements like creators, developers, and businesses in order to strengthen their network effects. And as platforms move up to the adoption of this S-curve, the power of our users and third parties steadily grows. And in the end, basically, if you're not on YouTube, if you're not on Twitch, if you're not on those main platforms, LinkedIn, for instance, you do not exist. So if you didn't accept the rules of those big platforms, well, you couldn't have access to this information and you're out. So they grew this kind of power tremendously. And that's the Web 2 and the main issue that we have with Web 2 right now. Then comes Web 3. So we are now at the beginning of the Web 3 era, which combines the decentralized community-governed ethos of Web 1 with the advanced modern functionality of Web 2, basically. And by win, I mean collectively managed internet. So Web 3 is the internet owned by the builders and users, orchestrated with tokens. So Web 3 is not about front-end revolution like the Web 2. Web 2 was a front-end revolution. Web 3 is a back-end revolution. That's why it's so hard to, understand. It's not something that you can directly see. It's something that you have to apprehend. So it's a back-end revolution initiated by Bitcoin because it has been able to solve the double spending issue. And finally, and that's the main revolution. That's one of the main revolutions brought by Bitcoin, because that finally allowed digital products to enter into a new era called the token economy. So I'm not talking about blockchain, I'm talking about Bitcoin, I'm talking about Ethereum, I'm talking for product managers about the token economy. So for me, we're all part, if you're just, I would say, interested in Web3 and also already working in Web3 ecosystem. For me, you're much more into the token ecosystem rather than the Web3 ecosystem, because it's all about the ability to work around the value wrapped into this token. And I will explain what is it later. First of all, I need to explain what is the double spending problem. Think baguette. Yes, I'm in France and I'm French, so we talk about baguette. Sorry for that. Right click, save, and Bitcoin. So basically, if I go to the bakery shop and I give me a few euros, it can give me some croissant or some baguette. Okay, in the physical world, I give him or her euros and I get a croissant or a baguette in exchange. Let's try to imagine the same process with a photo of this baguette that I sent to Dennis. And I say, okay, Dennis, I'd like to sell you this photo of my very nice French baguette. No joke for that. How much can you give it to me? It's like, okay, €5. Okay, here's the deal. And give me €5 and I will send you the photo. So you have the photos, you have the photo, I have the €5. What can I do? I can just click on the right button and save a copy of this image. So he will have maybe the original, but I will have the copy, which is exactly the same digital twin of this asset. Here comes Bitcoin. Bitcoin says that basically, Bitcoin solved this issue. I won't go into the details. It's not about Bitcoin. It's about the revolution that is brought by Bitcoin. But basically, it says, okay, guys, if you go through my protocol, I can assure you that if there's any transaction, now the only owner of this photo will be known by the entire network. And this changed everything, basically. Because all of a sudden, we can create value out of digital properties. And that's where the NFT craze came, basically. Non-fungible tokens is just a specific kind of crypto assets in which each token is unique. So you say that as opposed to fungible assets like Bitcoins and dollar bills, which are exactly the same amount, you can finally say that, okay, I have this photo of this baguette and this photo of the other baguette is different, etc., etc., etc. And all of that, you can create a totally new economy, bringing the physical assets into the digital world and then create new tools or new ways to share collectively or to specific people this value. That's it. So what can you keep as a takeaway? So basically, Web3 is the internet owned by the builders and users, orchestrated with tokens. Bitcoin revolution is all about the ability to solve the double spending problem based on open blockchain protocols. And of course, we are in the infancy of the token economy, and a lot of things remains to be built. What does it mean? It means that for us, product managers, we have new tools to solve problems. And that's where I want to link it to my mantra. My mantra in product management is welcome the problem, right? So let's talk about product management in Web3, finally. So back in the days in 2019, I was working in Paris for the BNP Paribas, which is one of the biggest banks in Europe. I was working with a team composed of 2 to 5 devs, 1 product designers, 1 lead PM, and 1.5 units. And I wanted to mention specifically that we want to welcome the problem, and we are facing a global problem, which is the greenhouse effect. So this is a huge problem. How can we bring it down to the local problem? So basically, how to fight global greenhouse effect through the fact to provide renewable energies. Okay, there's an issue currently in the renewable energies ecosystem. We have on one side, on the other side, energy providers who are willing to get their photovoltaic system, let's say, financed, but they're struggling. Why? Because above €500,000 is too much for the bank in the street. And below 50 million is, let's say, too small for the big banks. So we have a gap. We have an issue between institutional investors who are willing to invest in renewable energy and energy providers who are willing to get financed. And that's where, basically, we were able to bridge the gap. Thanks to a platform called Asset Foundry. So Asset Foundry was able, thanks to tokenization, to basically bridge this gap by taking all the small projects all together, creating one single token above the limit threshold, and set it to the institutional investors. So all of a sudden, thanks to tokenization and thanks to the ability to encapsulate value and also the data linked to these assets, we were able to create a new market based on tokenization and finally unlock this 500 billion per year investment opportunity. So this opportunity turned into a world premiere. So after 2 years working on the Ethereum platform and with the financial institutions were able to issue ASG tokenized bonds with this specific asset foundry platform, and with also the leader of electrical power in France called EDF. I talked about tokenization. So basically, because I'm not sure you know what is it, so it's just the possibility to issue securities in a way that they can be very easily recorded, moved, and stored on the blockchain in a transparent way. So it's not like the subprimes in which like you had an asset and it was an hamburger and you didn't know what was the slice. No, thanks to the token, you can zoom in and know exactly who is the guy in charge, where is having this energy grid, who has assessed it, etc., 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 how much it is producing, etc., etc. And this is totally new. So thanks to tokenization, and the ability to, let's say, finally fight this double spending problem, we can propose new market opportunities for smaller assets and, in a way, accelerate the energy transition. That's why it's better. So that's nice. That just basically you can read it, etc. So basically, why it's better? Because we are financing the solar-based revolution, and we are having, let's say, transaction based on tokenized assets, etc., etc. Cool. What's important and what does all this mean as a PM? We have on one side the Web2 and the other side the Web3. So what does it mean? It means that for us, on the Web2 side, the only thing that wasn't closed, which means the only thing that we weren't able to properly master, was the market. The infrastructure was inside our team. The funding was under control, and the governance of the platform or the product was also under control. In the Web3 economy, it's totally different. All of a sudden, much more than market is open. It's like the infrastructure is also open with an open protocol. The funding comes from the users, and the governance is also most often, very often, also coming from the people that are using the protocols. So that's why it's the internet owned by the builders and owners, orchestrated with tokens. So this is much more harder. It's like 10 times harder to be in a real Web3 tokenized economy versus Web2 platform economy as a product manager. You remember this? It means that we have to add extra skill set. We have to discuss and also train inside about cybersecurity, about ethics, talking about governance, about systemic thinking, because we are not basically creating economies from scratch. We have to talk about tokenomics, economics. What about the legal aspect? Because it's ever changing about the way to propose value on blockchains, etc., etc. So these are new skills that we have to add as Web3 product managers. So as a final takeaway, because I can see that I talk a lot and I want you to be able to ask questions, Web3 is impacting our PM lives on many levels. We have now the opportunity to solve former problems with new tools. Things that were not possible before are now becoming possible if you know how to use the technology. We can access to cheaper solutions. For instance, you can have access to decentralized storage at 10 times less cheaper, let's say, than AWS solutions, if you use specific solutions on some specific blockchains. Access to more data transparency, because all of a sudden, everything is on the blockchain and can be assessed. So many, many other good things also impacted our PM lives. So in order to face that, we have to be better. We have to upgrade our skill set and knowledge in order to benefit from this coming product evolution. And that's it. That's a wrap. Web3 for product managers is for me the next frontier, and I'm very happy to talk about this with you right now. This is a direct link to my LinkedIn account. So don't hesitate to flash me and send invitation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stéphan. Super insightful. And also I loved that you talked about Web3 for good. So there are so many people that kind of think Web3 is only a bad thing, but your example shows that Web3 can be used for doing good in the world. So it's very nice. We will move now to our Q&A session. But before we do that, I just want to quickly talk about product people. So you have time now to send your questions to us. Use please the comment section below, and we will answer all your questions in a second. But before we do, as I said, briefly talking about product people again, who we are and when to engage us. So there are 3 very big use cases where you can engage with us. The first one is when you need an interim product manager or product leader, meaning, for instance, somebody is going on parental leave, or you want to hire actually someone, but it takes longer than expected, or you have a very urgent initiative where, again, hiring can take long, so we can jump in and directly help. I want to emphasize our advantage that we at Product People onboard very fast, so much faster than anyone else. So it's a very good advantage from us. And the second thing is product coaching and consultancy, or being consultant. What does it mean? So if you want to, for example, get best practices in your product management department, or you want to bring your product management department to the next level, you can also engage with us, so we can help to improve product management in your company. And last but not least, in general product discovery, e.g., you want to develop an MVP. We are very experienced in product discovery and can help launch your product. What we are not. So there are 3 things that I want to also emphasize. We are not recruiters, meaning we cannot help you to find product managers for your company. Second, we are not a freelance. One that works at Product People is full-time employee, and we have to go through a 7-step recruitment process. So it's a real company, and we are really employed there. And last but not least, we are not a development or design agency. So we are only specialized in product management and product operations, and also product leadership. If you need product designers or developers, we are happy to refer you to some other agencies, but we cannot really support there. And some of our B2C clients, so we have a broad industry experience from micromobility to e-commerce. Same for B2B. We have a lot of different kind of industry expertise. Here you can see some positive feedback that we got from our clients. So what I also already mentioned, we onboard very fast. And some stats about us. So we already help more than 200 cross-functional teams and over 70 plus clients. We have 40 product leaders and managers within Product People. And for us, diversity and inclusivity is super important. And that's why we are very proud to say that 60% of everyone in the company is a woman, and 66% is even in a leadership position within Product People. These are some nice faces. That's us. And now we will move to the QA session. However, before we really start here, I just want to emphasize again 2 things. First, we are hiring. So if you want to join Product People, please scan the QR code there on the left side. And if you want to subscribe to our newsletter that we launched last month, actually, please use another QR code. Our next issue will be released next week. So stay tuned. And now we can move to the questions. All right, so we got already our first question, Stéphan. Let me go with the first one. How do you see Web3 evolving over the next few years? What trends are you already observing?
So basically, there's a lot of things that are happening right now in the Web3 ecosystem. I don't know if you are aware of this, but there's like this war against all the people which are working in different ecosystems. Like you have the Bitcoin maximalists, like its own Bitcoin is the alpha and the omega. You have the Ethereum enthusiasts, and then it's all about Ether, etc., etc., etc. I'm a kind of agnostic guy. I try to, let's say, take a step back and understand, once again, what's the problem and what are the tools that I can use to solve this issue. The trends that I can see is like some layer 2 blockchains are not having the traction that they wish they would have. So they will maybe die of a slow death. There's a lot of questions around all those, let's say, second or third waves of layer 2 blockchains that have so much Bitcoins, in order to raise their funds, they open subscriptions, and they raised like thousands of Bitcoins back in the days. And now they're worth like billions, basically, or hundreds of millions. The problem is no one is using the technology. Not no one, but not a lot of people. Not as much as on Bitcoin or, for instance, Ethereum. So what will happen to them? I don't know. So maybe we'll see, like, we're already seeing a structuration of the space towards the most important blockchains. And what will happen to the other ones? Well, they will die, but they will die with a huge, let's say, treasure, because they have so many Bitcoins, but they cannot spend it, they cannot spend it because it's in the code. Yeah, they're not allowed to spend it for other things that what they're supposed to do. So what will happen to them? Will they change the governance? Will they change the mission of their foundations? I don't know. That's a good question. So basically, consolidation around the big winners and evolution for the other ones. But towards what? I don't know. Let's see.
Thank you very much. We got a very interesting and long question, actually, from Kızıltan, who's probably also here. I just want to emphasize as well that you can raise your hand if you're on the Zoom, and then you can speak up and tell or ask your questions freely. This question is quite long, so I'm just wondering, Kızıltan, do you want to speak up and ask a question in your own words, or if not, then I will just read it out. All right, I will.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi. Okay.
So
yes, thank you.
I thank you for the very stepping into this very controversial topic. So thank you for the presentation and the opportunity. So I basically try to understand how practically the solution that is provided for the solar energy companies worked. I see that there's a first and foremost a regulatory or a sort of institutional problem. That is, one has the money and the other ones, it does not have the scale to ask for that money. So this solution kind of bridges the gap. But at the end of the day, it's a monetary world, so it has to abide and comply by the law. And given that, how does this structure actually help two bodies, two organizations to contract in legal terms? Because at the end of the day, someone will have to sign under a contract, which makes the initial transaction. So this is my first curiosity, and second curiosity is about the transactions among the solar energy companies, because some of them may ask for X, the other one may ask for 2X, and how does that compute? And it is like it is the flip side of the coin question. The last one is like, what if these smaller companies created a joint venture and did it the classical way of accessing to these kind of financial assets? Would it be, in your opinion, what will be the pros and cons to making the traditional way versus the technological way? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question. It's super precise, and I love the fact that we are digging into the details. So the first question is like we're using SPVs, so single-purpose vehicles. So basically creating a new entity from scratch in order to have the signing on behalf of the solar energy company, so that is offset. It's not inside directly of the I don't know the term in English. Sorry, the bilan. It's like within the entity. Sorry for that. Well, anyway, so it's a specific entity that are creating for this specific operation. Why is it a good thing to use technology instead of doing it the old-fashioned way? It's because we do it at scale. So you have to know that usually in order to get into the institutional investment, let's say, loop, you become a qualified investor so in order to do that, you have to go through a lot of very painful KYC, know your customer processes, etc., etc. So if you don't have the money, if you don't have the papers, if you don't have the time, etc., 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 it's very, very cumbersome to do it by yourself on one-to-one. So that's why people are basically using banks for that, and specifically corporate international banking, because they are easing this process. It doesn't mean that you won't have any KYC, you will have the KYC, etc., etc. It just means that they are basically creating all the, let's say, all the environment in order for you to successfully raise this money. You have to know that when I'm talking about small assets, it means that you can be like a farmer in the countryside and you want to put solar PVs on top of your canopy, you know. Or you can be, for instance, a merchant having a supermarket and you want to put also solar panels on top of your parking lots. So you do not have the knowledge to thrive in the very complex area of investment banking. So basically what we do is like, we try to streamline this process and also to streamline the industry in order to collect thousands of projects, agglomerate them, and then present one single offer to the main institutional investor. So that's why it's easier for everybody, easier for the institutional investor that will not have to do the KYC for 1,000 people, and the 1,000 people that don't have the time, neither the knowledge, neither the willingness to go through all those very hard process will get the opportunity to just get inside the platform and just follow a very easy process in order to maybe or not get financed.
Thank you very much. That makes perfect sense. When you talk about the farmers, the supermarkets, like the long tail, it makes perfect sense. So I hit that aspect in the written version of the question. So you already mentioned that the other option is to use the old-fashioned method and the or approach, and the banking industry, the finance industry is in its ways old-fashioned. So how did you guys persuade the finance industry to move into this other new thing, which was already controversial? So
it's a very good question. Thank you. It's been a long process. I've only been participating to this change. Basically, a lot of you have to have big sponsors within the company, the bank, because basically banking people are by nature very conservative concerning risks. And back in the days, like 4 years ago, it was a lot of, let's say, hype around tokens, but also a lot of warnings around scams. You know, people people were not understanding what was it. So basically we say, okay, this is a scam, they're just scamming people, etc., etc. We don't want that in the bank. We don't want to propose this type of products to our clients, because people would just say, hey, are you stupid or what? Basically, JP Morgan just told us that it was a scam. Who are you to tell me that it's not a scam? I won't give you any millions. So how does it change? Well, basically, it's all about managing, leading change within a big company. So we have specific methods to do that. But the only thing that you have to keep in mind is like by proving the value step by step and accumulating victories after victories, small victories after small victories, small steps after small steps, in which you're just answering all the questions and just showing the opportunity. And if you're lucky, if you find the right people in front of you, if you're convincing enough, then they allow you to grow, and then you're able to finally make this specific world premiere. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stéphan. Yeah, thank you for the very good question. Let's move to the next question. So we have still a few, very exciting, which is also a little bit related to the last question, which is, Stéphan, what is your experience with navigating the regulatory landscape working within Web3?
Wow, you're talking about a huge pain point. I'm from the startup scale-up world. I've worked into startup in hypergrowth. And then land into the banking industry, in which things are so slow, so painfully slow, because people don't want to make mistakes, because mistakes are basically extremely costly. So it's much more about a wait and see approach. And it means, for the legal point of view, that you have, basically I was spending at least 2 to 3, maybe sometimes 2 to 3 hours a day, talking with lawyers, legal advisors, reading by myself, etc., etc., in order to get a window of possibilities for our product to grow. So remember the skill set slide that I showed you before? There was this small plus legal mention, but it means a lot of things. It means that you can basically have your product shut down due to a change of law, like this, because people don't get what you're doing. So there's like intense lobbying to make to the government and also other law maker, in order to make them understand what is this technology about and what is it not about, in order to educate people. And we still have this issue with Bitcoin, for instance. In France, a lot of lawmakers, deputies, don't get what is Bitcoin and still have a very negative point of view about what is it. But in the end, I think that the truth emerges, but still in the process, we are losing a lot of time compared to other countries in which they got it much more quickly. But so navigating these legal pain points were very, very time-consuming and energy-consuming, and that's one of the reasons why I left this mission after 2.5 years, because it was too slow for me. You know, coming from startup and scale-up environment, when you're working to these big companies, it's very, very hard.
Yeah, super interesting. Going to the next question, it's related to user data privacy. What are the differences in Web3 and Web2 when it comes to user data privacy? Are there any, actually? Yeah.
Yes, that's a question for a long talk. Please let me know what's the name of this person, and we'll talk after, because I don't know. Okay, let me come up with a. It's totally different on many aspects. Depending on the blockchain that you're using, or the open protocol that you're using, all the information of the interaction that you have with the blockchain are public. So you have different types of blockchains, etc. We're only talking about the public ones, you have private ones, etc. But the most successful ones are the public ones for many reasons, obvious reasons. So depending what you want to do, depending which type of data you're handling and passing within this public blockchain, you may or may not be able to share this information given your specific jurisdiction. So that's why I'd be happy to discuss much more about it on maybe later. I need something much more precise in order to give an answer, precise answer.
Sure, thank you very much. And yeah, please reach out to Stéphan directly on LinkedIn. He shared his QR code. I hope you managed to take a snap. If not, you can find his profile under the event page on LinkedIn as well. Or just look for his name on LinkedIn as well. And the next question is also a very interesting question. I also have my personal opinion here. Discussion comes from Sonia, who's in our Zoom meeting here. She said, thanks for the interesting presentation. I wasn't previously aware of what Web3 refers to. First thing that came to my mind is AI rather than blockchain. How do you see the hype about AI and its influence and how it will affect PMs and products? Thank you.
Yes, a few years ago, we had all these hypes about Web3, AI, and also metaverse, and people were confused, thinking that Web3 was everything, like AI, metaverse, and also blockchain. Now Web3 is all about the token economy, so the ability to wrap and encapsulate value and to share it on open protocols. That's why it's a backend revolution. So for me, Web3 is different than AI because AI dramatically speeds up the current process. We had many CEOs specialized in AI saying that in 5 years, they might, well, just developers might disappear because of what we can do right now with ChatGPT. And in 5 years, like we can code directly sites without any issue, without developers. So we are speeding up the processes. So it's a magnificent and huge tool for us as product managers because one of the goals for us is to bring value to end users and to our organization. And to do so, we have a team for that. And to do so, what we have to do is like to go through this uncertainty and let's say decrease the risk as much as possible. Okay? So in order to decrease the risk as much as possible, we go after opportunities and we do experiments in order to get closer to our goals, right? So those experiments can be POC, can be first version of iterations, can be landing pages, can be whatever you want, okay? With AI, what was taking us weeks is not taking us days, if not hours. We can come up with a fake website or fake product that will just allow us to test the hypothesis we have in a few hours versus weeks. So for us, it's very, very interesting. So how do I see the hype about AI and its influence? So I just answer that. And I just answer that. So yes, so Web3 is different from AI, and AI is a magnificent tool for us to speed up our process and learn much more how to ship value to our end users. So get into it. What's the difference with Web3? So Web3 is all about the value. So basically, you can create a different world based on what we value and how we share this value between users. Just keep in mind that a Bitcoin worth no more than 20, 24, 25,000 euros at the moment we speak. But this worth nothing like 10 or 15 years ago. So it's all about the value that we propose that we are not, that is let's say brought by Web3. Web3 is all about the possibility to create new economies. This is different from AI. Hopefully I was clear.
Thank you very much for the answer. I personally think also that there's a difference of 100%. But I think there are also use cases where AI and Web3 can go hand in hand. But the future will tell how it will look like. There's one last question, and that question is from me, actually, which is like maybe you can also share some tips for product managers that want to transition to Web3 product management. So you shared, for example, what new skills they need, but maybe there are other tips you could share, like because yeah, there's always like an interest to such industries. So yeah.
Okay, directly reach out to me. I would like to prepare a specific training around token product managers, in which we'll basically work around the basics of what is it to be a Web3 product manager. So we talked about token. Okay, so what is a token, basically? What are the multi-dimensions of this token? How can you, what type of, let's say, skills that you need? Like, for instance, let's take a very precise example. If you want to go and transition into a Web3 product management position, you have to be at ease with uncertainty. What does it mean? It means that as you often be in, say, the first PM position, and if not, you still have to face uncertainty due to legal obligations that change every month or so. Uncertainty due to the systemic aspect of your product. Uncertainty to the fact that it's not only the market which is open, it's also the infrastructure. So if some people say during the during any vote that they would change this in the protocol, and you were against that because your entire product works on this specific aspect, basically the day after, it's finished. So all of that you have to take into account that you're basically working in a very uncertain world. So if you're not at ease with uncertainty, you shouldn't be a Web3 product manager first. After that, if you're, let's say, eager to learn, eager to open your mind to new possibilities in terms of ethics, which means philosophy, basically. What kind of society do I want to create? How can I bring value to the end users? Because basically that's what's given to us with the Web3. It's the possibility to create a totally new way to interact. So we've seen a lot of blockchains or projects proposing a way to preserve biodiversity, a way to share knowledge in terms of medical tests, etc., etc. So we've seen a lot of people understanding that they can solve their problems in a new fashion through Web3. So start with the problem in mind, be eager to change the world with this problem, and then learning the possibilities given by Web3, you'll make your choices. But this is much more uncertain than Web2 for sure, for all the reasons that I've mentioned before. And reach out to me. I'll be very happy to discuss about how can we build a better world thanks to, let's say, strong Web3 product managers.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Stéphan, for taking your time to let us know what Web3 is, what Web3 product management could like, and also about all the answers that you shared with us. This leads actually to the end of our presentation. Thank you everyone who joined us. Please check out our Spotify. We have also a podcast. Chat with us on Telegram. Join us on our real life events that we're also hosting. And see you next week in our next live stream. And thank you again very much for joining for today's live stream.